Planet Dolan. What does it mean to have defecated water? Why would somebody fight you for calling them nice? Today we go through 15 English words that mean something totally different today than they used to. I'm Danger Dolan, and today I will be your narrator.
Number 15.
Awful. These days, if something is really bad, you call it awful. But when the term originally surfaced, it meant something closer to awesome. Awful things were literally awful, as in things that were full of awe. Or, more accurately, things that filled you with awe.
Number 14.
Doom. The concept of doom comes from Old English and refers generally to a law, judgment, or condemnation. Like if you took something to court in the 15th century, a judge might pass down a dom, or doom. Book of laws in Old English were known as a domback. Today's definition of doom involves death, ruin, and destruction. It comes from its association with the Christian concept of Judgment Day.
Number 13.
Guy. We use guy to refer to just a normal man these days, but he's to refer exclusively to unusual or bad people. The word actually originates with Guy Fawkes, the revolutionary figure who was hanged for his role in a plot to kill King James I of England and blow up the House of Lords with gunpowder. After the plot was discovered and thwarted, Guy became a term for anyone who was shifty or suspicious. And also, we all remember the 5th of November.
Number 12.
Villain used to be another word for farmer. Specifically, it was a farm hand or some kind of peasant. So how did it get to be known as a term for a literally evil enemy of some kind? It all has to do with perspective. In the era when the term a villain was first used, peasants weren't even reading their own names, much less writing books. It was knights and classy folk writing literature of that era. They had manners and sophistication, while the villains were rude, dirty, and criminal-minded. So basically, in writings from the time, villain just referred to poor people. But poor people were usually considered the bad guys, so it just kind of worked out. Except for the poor people, it didn't really work out for them.
Number 11.
Sophisticate. In ancient Greece, the sophists were accused of making misleading statements and trying to fool people with complex arguments. That's the rule of sophisticate, which up until around the 20th century meant to corrupt, delude, or make impure and not genuine. Today we refer to someone as sophisticated when they seem worldly and wise, but it was fairly recently a negative term.
Number 10.
Passenger means almost the exact opposite today as it did in the original context. It is always referred to someone who is travelling or passing, but its Latin root, passus, means to step or walk. So the original definition of passenger was someone who was travelling by foot, not in a vehicle.
Number 9.
Sad is a word that has been around European languages for a long time. Old versions of English, Dutch, German, and even Norse had some version of it. And in those languages, to be sad means to be satisfied, as in full of food or satisfied from a battle. In other words, sad basically used to mean happy or content.
Number 8.
Brothels are known today as houses of prostitution, but originally, a brothel was a person. Specifically, a brothel was someone who is pretty much a piece of trash. The Middle English origin of the word is a depraved man or woman. This could refer to a prostitute themselves or just a vile person in general. Actual prostitution houses tended to have a lot of brothel-like people in them, and so they started being known as brothel houses. The term ended up sticking to the building better than the people who visited them.
Number 7.
Radical. Anytime you hear the word radical, it's either someone referring to something extreme, or it's a surface slang for something cool from the 1990s. Both those definitions only cropped up in the last couple of centuries. Something radical used to refer to something with roots and going to the origins of something. Rather than meaning something extreme, it meant something basic and essential.
Number 6.
Bully. Bullies suck. No one likes a bully. Except that bully originally meant sweetheart or brother, and was a term of endearment for both couples and close friends. An alternate meaning, heard in the phrase bully for you, uses bully as a word meaning worthy or admirable. While bully is still used this way in some dialects of British English, its origins are actually in the US around the 1860s.
Number 5.
Defecate. For those unaware or maybe a bit young, to defecate means to take a massive dump. Knowing that, how'd you feel if you were offered a glass of defecated water? It's not that weird. Defecating something used to mean to purify it and clear it of pollutants. Around the 1830s, people started using it in a kind of same way, but a little different. It meant to purify the body and clear it of pollutants by opening your rectum.
Number 4.
Girl used to just mean child, not a male or female child, just a small child. Its origin is disputed. There are many similar words to girl in old Germanic languages, some that mean child, and some that simply mean short. By the 14th century, girl had come to mean a female child. By the 15th century, it could mean any young, unmarried woman. Definition expanded from there.
Number 3.
Meat didn't always just mean animals that you eat, it used to just mean food, like any solid food. You had meat and drink. Some early references specifically refer to meat as animal feed. Not the animals themselves, meat used to mean food for animals like grains, plants, or anything else. In the 15th century, vegetables were still referred to as meat.
Number 2.
Naughty used to be a lot more of a literal term than it is now. It meant a person was actual naughty, as in they had naught or nothing. Naughty people were just broke and needy, simply put, or aka villains. It had nothing to do with their personalities though. Naughty picked up its more modern disobedient meaning in the 1630s, and it wasn't until 1869 that it was used in a sexy way.
Number 1.
Nice. The idea that nice guys finished last means a lot more sense in a historical context. The earliest meaning of nice was foolish, stupid, or senseless, rooted in old French and Latin words that were also pretty mean-spirited. Nice has gone through a lot of shifts in definition over time. At some point, nice's definition has shifted from stupid to timid to fussy to delicate to careful to delightful and finally kind around 1830. The meaning of the word changed so rapidly that it's almost impossible for historians to keep up. Examples of the word nice in 16th and 17th century text could mean almost anything. So guys, what's a word that you know that used to have a different meaning? Let us know in the comment section down below or pin our favorite to the top. This video was made possible by our fans over on Patreon. Thanks for your support, guys. That is it for this countdown. Have a good one!